I don't really want to pick that up.
We have, it's up to him. The same picture we had up there, because this is part 2 of the sermon that I preached 2 weeks ago. We have the same picture of Evan and Jesus up there. As Michelle wanted to know which one was Jesus and which one was Evan. That question still remains unanswered.
The one on the right kind of takes after you, right?
Yeah. In some respects, yes. Unfortunately, it's part of my untransformed nature. Ian, you want to crank it up?
Me and bitch model, you're hardcore, nasty, covered in dirt, sweaty. This is your life now. This is.
Still makes me exhausted watching that. Well, for those of you who don't know Evan, he's actually in that course right now. And over this process of him being in the Marine Corps, we've noticed that a lot of what he's going through is what we all go through. It's representative of the great battles that we face and things that God has for us. But it's so apparent in Evan's life because it's so in your face. As we talked 2 weeks ago about the individual lessons that I've come to develop with Evan as we've walked him through this process, because it's had its ups and downs and it's been pretty emotional. The individual takeaways that we discussed 2 weeks ago, like suffering. In Marine Corps jargon, it sucks. And yet it seems to be the only way that God can develop the things in us that he needs to develop. The suffering, the trials that we're going through, the scriptures tell us to count it all joy when we go through it. It's not natural, but it is a kingdom principle, and it seems to forge things inside of people. The Marine Corps seems to have this down, at least the recon unit, because they don't make their life easy. As you can tell, they have this phrase that it pays to be a winner. And when they say that, Evan has learned that there's punishment for people who come in last. And there's something inside of us, because we've all been acculturated by the Western American middle-class culture, which one prizes individualism. The other thing that it does is it always tries to equalize there's this tendency in our society to equalize the results. We see this all the time. And the kingdom, one of the kingdom principles that is taught in the scripture is to him who has more will be given. And to him who lacks, even that which he has will be taken away. And you sit there and say, well, that's not fair. I mean, think about the 3 teams that came in last. What did they get to do? Well, the winners got the rest. They got to do push-ups. And you sit there and say, well, shouldn't they be given the rest? Because obviously they were struggling with us. And yet there's something built into that training that says, okay, what we want to do is we want to push people to a place where they would not naturally go on their own. So that was one of the individual takeaways that I think it's part of the foundation of counting it all joy when we face situations that we face. There is no other way for God to develop our character. And as they say, well, you might as well have fun with it because you know it's going to suck. Now, I'm not suggesting that we go out and curse each other. In fact, that's part of the when I was examining over the last 8 months what Evan and I was learning out of this process, it seemed to be broken down into 2 natural divisions. One, the individual lessons, which we covered the last time, and now the community lessons. Now there's some obviously, God put us in a community. That's the other thing our culture doesn't teach us. Now there's other cultures around the world that they have the community aspect down pretty well because they grew up understanding community. We generally as Americans don't. We understand at best our nuclear family. And at that, some of that is even strict. Going beyond that is rough. And yet within the church, God has called us to a family that's outside of the nuclear family. And he's given a lot of time in the scriptures talking about how the natural nuclear family, in a lot of cases, takes a subordinate role to the other family that God's called us to. And when you think of scriptures like Jesus saying, someone coming and telling Jesus, hey, your mother and brothers are outside. And Jesus said, who are my brothers and mothers and sisters? And it's those who do the will of my Father in heaven. There's a scripture that says, there's those who stick closer than a brother. No man, no greater love than a man lay down his life for his friend. Not for his wife, not for his family. So there's something outside of what we see in our cultural experience that is taught within the kingdom of heaven. And again, just what Evan's going through, it's too in your face. Obviously, when you look at this video, there's some very clear takeaways. What we do affects others. But we don't see that. I mean, you don't live your lives thinking, geez, what Jim Liu did this past week. You don't even know what I did this past week. And you don't care. Well, I'm projecting myself on you because I don't see this. Again, I'm fighting these cultural training sessions that you can mess around with I can go off mic if I need to. What we do affects others. Now, in the team races of carrying the zodiac, that's pretty clear. Consider that though, in terms of, you saw the guys carrying the zodiac and going, someone's giving up, someone's giving up. One of the things that has struck me about the way God's created us, when the scriptures say that we are made in the image of God, we really discount that because we sit there and say, okay, well, it's not physical because God is a spirit. But then we don't ever think of the implications of what that says. We are made in the image of God. Have you ever noticed that you can go up to someone or someone can come up to you and you'll immediately know whether they're angry, upset, there's tension. You can walk into a room and you can detect tension. No one needs to say anything to you. Why? Because you're made in the image of God. The guys that are carrying the zodiac, there's 6 guys carrying the zodiac, and yet one guy in one corner can tell whether someone's giving up. And we have to be painfully aware of that because we sit here and we live our lives as individuals because we've been taught to live our lives as individuals. And what is happening to those that we have been called into community with and how they are reacting? We, 1, have the ability to detect, and 2, it affects us, whether we realize it or not.